Hello there, listeners. Welcome to our first of 6 Euros preview podcasts. Ooh, can I get an ooh, boys? Can you both do an ooh?
Thanks, Michelle Platini, for making these longer.
Yeah, this is great. When you look at the groups, I mean, just briefly, when you look at the groups, you realise that actually quite a lot of teams that finish third go through as well.
It's really stupid, isn't it? There's a lot of games played to not get rid of teams.
You can basically win one match, lose 2, and still go through. That's how silly this is.
I think it made the qualifying more exciting, but I'm not sure it'll make the groups more exciting.
Well, we'll talk about some of the qualifying as we run through Group A. Now, Group A, of course. Well, for those that are new here, I'm Ben. Jack, hi.
Hello.
Keeno, hi.
Good evening.
We are For the Fans podcast. This may well be your first listen, so why not? Now, we are going to go through all of the groups. We'll start, as is sort of the type, to start with Group A. Albania, France, Romania and Switzerland fill this group, the host nations, the host nation, I should say, as well as some underdogs. Shall we go in alphabetical order, boys? Shall we start with Albania?
That's the conventional way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Now, for those that are unaware, we're going to spend about 5-10 minutes, probably less, on each team, talking through which we think might be the key points to their potential qualification, as it's so easy this year. So we'll start with Albania then. Managed by Gianni Di Biasi, they qualified very, very well, boys. They qualified second behind Portugal. They were the only pot 5 team, they were a pot 5 team in a 5-teamed group. Are we following that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they qualified second in their group behind Portugal, which is, I think that's pretty remarkable, would you not say?
I feel like that eclipses Northern Ireland a little bit.
Well, it's very, very good. They finished ahead of Denmark, who don't make it, Serbia, and Armenia. When you think about those 3 teams, you would have put Albania, they're a pot 5 for a reason, so you'd have thought. But could they be, Keeno, could they be a sleeper team in this competition?
Possibly. I think, as you say, it's extremely easy for teams to qualify now. So, we'll talk about Switzerland in a minute, but other than France in this group, it could be a bit of a dogfight for second or even third place. Because, as you say about Albania, they qualified really strongly. And you mentioned Serbia in particular, I think, a team that you'd expect to finish far above them. So their qualifying was very impressive. And I think that it will come down to, if we're sort of presuming that France will qualify quite comfortably, it will come down to maybe one goal in it and very close matches between the other 3 teams. And Albania had a fantastic defence in the qualifying campaign, along with Romania, actually. So I think if it comes down to tight games between the other 3, they may have a chance. It's not out of the question.
Yeah,
at all.
just quickly before I come on to you, Peachy boy. Iceland and Northern Ireland, they both qualified from pot 5. Nobody qualified from pot 6. 3 teams qualified from pot 5, which was Iceland, Northern Ireland, and Albania, and only 1 team qualified from pot 4, which was Wales. And you think about how much we value Wales higher than a team like Albania. I really think they've done terrifically well, and key men for them, Jack. Laurie Canna has been there. I think that's how you say his name. Is it Canna? Would you say Canna or Sana?
Centre back, yes.
I'd say Sana, but
He's Sana. He's been around a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I would assume he would be their key man, Jack. He's the leader of this unit.
He is. I must admit, when I was looking at this Albania squad trying to make sense of it, like many people, I look at that list and there's very few names that stuck out for me. Kana was one of them. The other one was Xhaka. And I think the only reason he stands out is because I know his brother, who plays in the Swiss team, also in this group, which I'm kind of looking forward to. I feel like that's going to be the thing we hear non-stop this Euros in the group stage.
I feel like in regards to Group A, maybe, but I don't think it'll be a big news story.
The commentators love to milk any kind of little coincidence like that.
Yeah, actually, the Boatengs. Do you remember the Boatengs as well? That was a big thing, wasn't it? With Jeremy and Garner.
And particularly now there's the English connection to, with Granit Xhaka,
of course, yeah.
So I think you're right, they will try.
I think the only other player from this Albania side which people might be familiar with is Berisha, who is the Lazio keeper. That's another name people might well remember.
Who often doesn't play though because of Marchetti. So
as I said before we started recording, I've got some facts about Albania. Do you want to hear them?
Go on.
Yeah, you've probably got more than me.
Okay, they beat Portugal in their qualifying. Should note, Ronaldo didn't play in that game, but they beat Portugal despite the fact they finished behind them. And here's the best fact, people. 1 year ago, almost to the day, when they play again, they beat France in a friendly. And you may think, the French team might not have been very good.
I remember that, actually.
Lloris, Evra, Jallet, Sacco, Varane, Gonaland, Kondogbia, Payet, Giroud, Lacazette and Griezmann. So it was not a pushover French team by any means, and they did the job of them. I think for Albania, I think you kind of said it, Keeno, between them and Romania for who finishes sort of that third spot. But you never know. You never know with the team Albania. Sleeper team. Shall we move over to France, who are, of course, the hosts? Now, their qualifying campaign, very easy to talk about, very easy to discuss. Didn't have one. They qualified due to being the hosts.
And they actually dropped because of that to, I think, 21 in the world rankings as well. Obviously, the FIFA rankings are a bit silly, but they just dropped very low because of that.
I think the FIFA rankings overall are okay. I think they serve a purpose. But when it comes to things like that is a bit stupid. Of course, they won it in the year 2000, where Keeno was just a boy. And I guess technically, I was 10.
We
were.
I had the Sabutio set that year.
This year?
It's a good one.
I had a really good Game Boy Color game of Euro 2000, actually. It was like a
I had a T-shirt.
I think I have a France 98 Sabutio set somewhere. Obviously,
I have a France 98 cup, like a plastic cup. I don't still have it, I should clarify. Surprisingly for some of you viewers, I don't have it 22 years later or 18 years later, whatever it is. But I used to have a plastic cup, which I used to be very fond of. I'll tell the story, until it went mouldy because I left milk in it for 4 days.
I mean, that's usually not the best thing to do. Shall we talk about this French squad?
I just didn't realise, boys. Yes, they've got some very good footballers. I think key men. Shall we all pick a key man for France who we think will be an X factor? Jack, do you want a key man? Who's your key man?
He's not there, is he?
Oh dear, don't.
Sorry, am I allowed to say that? Please don't.
Bleep that.
Right, get rid of that. Edit. No, Griezmann for me. I think I look at the French team as a whole. I know they're missing a few key centre backs. I actually think going forward there, I don't want to say their strike force is necessarily their weak area, but you look at elsewhere, I feel in their team, they've got kind of a world class player in every position. And I don't really see Coman or Giroud, or I think I'm more likely to start either Gignac or Martial as kind of game changers, whereas I think Griezmann has kind of proven that for Atletico, that he can be that kind of carry. So I feel like he's perhaps the player to watch for them. I think a lot of their attacking performance may hinge on his contribution.
Keeno, who do you think will be a big player for France this tournament?
I mean, I fully agree on the Griezmann point, because I think that if you look at the other French strikers, they haven't obviously Giroud scored a few in the Premier League, but we all know about his problems. They haven't proven themselves or had a season like a dare I say it, a Jamie Vardy or a Harry Kane. They've not had a fantastic year.
To be fair, Gignac, he's playing in Mexico. He's got 4 informs in FIFA this year. I mean, maybe he's good.
Yes, possibly.
But again, playing in Mexico.
Yeah.
So
I agree with Jack on the striker point. I mean, you have to look at Paul Pogba, don't you, as the man. And I think there'll be parallels with him and obviously the home crowd, as there was with Neymar and Brazil, obviously in the last tournament. I think that all eyes will be on him constantly throughout the French games, and I don't like it when sort of pundits and commentators and stuff pin a lot of sort of their coverage on one man. But I do think that if you look at the rest of the French midfield, maybe Payet can pull something out of the bag, but he is the man who can really change the game from that midfield.
I think a lot was expected of Pogba in the World Cup, and we didn't quite get it.
No,
I feel like. Did he get sent off in the World Cup as well, Pogba? I'm sure he did. I'm sure he got sent off in the World Cup.
You guys covered it. I'm sure
Jack. He definitely got sent off, didn't he, Jack?
I mean, you can go and watch For the Fans Week something or other during the World Cup 2 years ago and find out.
But you're right, though, Keeno. I think he does have a point to prove. It will be all eyes on him. I mean,
I feel as though, as Jack said, in the same way that there aren't the forwards for France other than Griezmann, aren't sort of special players in the sense that they're on great form when they're changing game. That would be harsh, actually, so not special. But I think Pogba is the game changer in that group of midfielders. Yeah,
we didn't discuss this beforehand, but Jack went for a striker. You've gone for a midfielder, and interestingly, I'm going to go with Koscielny because
this works brilliantly.
Yeah, because I should say I did have all 3 listed. I wasn't just like writing off Griezmann and Pogba and going straight to Koscielny. But I think with injuries to Varane, and obviously Sacco's not there,
it's a big loss.
A partnership that's been there for a long time now, or it's been developing at least for a few years. Umtiti's I wouldn't say unproven, but he's younger, isn't he? You've got Mangala, who's been. Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, all that sort of silence and it kind of sums up Mangala.
It's difficult to say on him, really, because there have been some games, and actually some of the bigger games, where he's looked brilliant for City.
I think he might start as well. I think him and Koscielny will be the partnership.
I think you said a lot hinges on Koscielny. I think with the absence of players like Laporte, Varane, and
of course,
Zuma. Sorry, third one went from my head. That's 3 centre backs who I'd actually put ahead of Koscielny under normal circumstance. And not to kind of disregard Rabiot and Titi, but I think a lot of it comes down to that France's centre backs to stay fit. If I'm honest, I think that's a massive thing.
Very, very, very similar to England in that regard, with the sort of quite frailty in the centre-back regions.
So Lauren Koscielny is our Gary Cahill. I think that's
I think that's a disservice on Koscielny, if I'm honest.
But no, as I said, I think he'll be pivotal. I think if he stays fit, plays well, that France back line can build around him. And of course, they've got Evra there as well, who's got a massive amount of experience. So I think that'd be helpful for them. And I mean, let's go across the back line. They've got Bakary Sagna, who will arguably play as well. So that back line, it's not short of experience, but in terms of
arguably
actual quality,
the weak link, I think.
Yeah, I think that the midfield is so strong. Pogba, Matuidi, Schneiderlin, Kante's obviously had a great season. We're not even talking about Kabay.
Sissoko.
Musa Sissoko, strange inclusion. And then the forward line we've kind of touched on: Griezmann, Payet, Martial, Giroud, etc. So they've got a lot of talent, the French squad. Do we think they're potential winners? Just as a point,
I think for sure they are.
I think it says a lot about them, the fact that they're favourites and they've got so many players missing.
Yeah, of course.
They have, and obviously you can't underestimate the power of the home advantage. And they have a squad that is good enough to win it for sure. And I think obviously the home crowd and the pressure in a sort of motivating way, I think will work in their advantage. The one thing I would say in their sort of against that prediction is that this team in particular haven't really had, as you mentioned, the World Cup last year, they haven't really played together and done well in a big tournament as of yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If you look at other favourites, I mean, remnants of the Spain squad are there from the winning sides of the past. Obviously, Germany, they've had a group together for 5, 6, 7 years. But that can't really be said for France, and they have players of different ages sort of coming together as well. They've not had sort of one group move together a la Germany, for instance.
Yeah, so I think if France get
lack
the ball
of
rolling,
experience,
quite literally, if France get rolling, I think they could be a force that is going to be difficult to stop.
Oh, for sure.
But I think if they stumble through the group, but like get through the group, I think that could be a problem. You can see a team, for example, you can see a Wales really going at a team like France and causing problems. And then that seems crazy, but those teams that have got sort of a game plan could upset the French. But the teams that try and play with France a little bit, I think France will beat them. Let's move on though. Romania, I would say, I guess it's difficult between them and Albania, isn't it? Who's really the underdog there between the two?
I actually favour Romania, I think. I look at the Romania, it's a terrible way to really gauge the team, but I look at the Romania team. There's players I know there, whereas in the Albania team there's a few. But I look at players
all right, Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
Well, no, I feel like we'd be doing that. We'd be lying if we were to sit there nodding our heads pretending we're Romanian footballing experts.
Other pundits are available.
Other pundits are available.
They are.
Andy Keys, Richard Keys, and Andy Gray are available.
One thing that I saw noted down actually was the fact that Romania have a real lack of centre mids in their squad. I think they're taking 3 centre mids.
Wow.
Which is a bit.
They are the England of the centre midfield.
Which is a little bit of a bold one. I think Keseru can play there as well, but he's more of an attacking centre mid.
Well, if we look at how they qualified, they finished unbeaten in their group, which was arguably, though, the weakest of the groups.
Yes, I was about to say. Yeah.
Northern Ireland top tier, Hungary, Finland, the Faroe Islands and Greece. This is, of course, the famous group in which Faroe Islands beat Greece and Ranieri was sacked a few years ago and obviously then got the Leicester job.
Moved on to better things.
I mean, it went well for him, didn't it? I mean, the next Greece manager's thinking, God, I can't wait to be sacked. I can't wait to win the Premier League. Of course, Romania's previous best at Euros was quarter-final appearance in 2000. Again, there aren't a great deal of well-known names. I think Razvan Rat, does that name ring a bell for anyone?
It does.
He's played 110 times for Romania, so he's been an ever-present for them for many, many years now. I think, again, it's the kind of player they'll look to. Kirichez, the guy that was at Tottenham for a short time, is a name that'll be familiar to a lot of people at Napoli. Do you remember, Jack, do you remember the wonder kid, Dennis Alibek? Do you remember him?
No.
He was a football manager wonder kid.
Oh, the striker.
Yes, the striker.
Yes,
he was at Inter. Do you remember him? He's in the squad as well. I guess their informed player is Bogdan. Do you know who this is, Jack? Stanchu?
Yeah. He was a bit of a wonder kid, was he not, in FM? Again,
Romania produce a lot of wonder kids and then they come to nothing. Keeno, have you got anything you'd like to say about Romania? Have you got much on them?
Nothing other than that. Their defence. They only conceded 2 goals in qualifying, and like Albania, they have a pretty stingy defence. And I feel as though, like you say, they're sort of the vying for who might be, the underdog, sort of maybe creeping into qualification. The games between them could be very low scoring, could be very close, and could ultimately decide their fate in the group as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Although it'll be a fairly low profile game, that game for 2 smaller nations will actually be quite important to see how this.
So what we're saying is that's going to be 0-0 and neither of them are going to finish best place third.
Yeah, probably.
I would like to see, though, both of those teams as the underdogs in that group. I hope we don't see a situation in the Euros this year that teams are fighting for third and kind of playing so conservative that they know that like 3 points could well be enough. And I don't want to see Romania and Albania go in thinking, a draw is not a bad result. Like, I want to see them go at Switzerland, go at France. It might prove to be their undoing, but give it a go, man. Like, you've worked hard to get it.
I've got a weird feeling in this group that we're going to see a repeat of 2002 with France. They're in Group A.
They'll come third or fourth or something.
Well, they lost to Senegal in the World Cup.
They did.
I feel like that could happen here with a Romania or Albania beating them and France finish third and then get lucky because of the system.
The only player really missing from the Romania team that, again, will be familiar to a few people is Alexandru Maxim, who plays for Stuttgart. He was very hotly rated for a long time and didn't make the squad. He's not really been in favour of the national coach. I mean, I'm not going to say the national coach's name because it's very difficult. It's something like, no, let's not bother. Let's leave it. I think Romania and Albania will be in similar situations. A team that I think expects to get through and arguably get through somewhat comfortably will be Switzerland. Of course, finished second behind England in Group E. And I don't know, they've never got past the group stage of the Euros, but they've got some talented players, Keeno.
They do have talented players, and while they did finish second in the group, I wasn't overly impressed with Switzerland throughout the qualification process, really. And while, yes, they have some fantastic players, particularly Xhaka, who obviously everyone talks about Shaqiri, but Xhaka is one of the main men for me in that team. They haven't been convincing. And England's group in qualifying, I mean, we can talk about it when we do the England group, but their qualifying group was not too difficult. I thought the Swiss were they got through, but you can't. There was no sort of standout performance that you could really say, yes, they can take that and build on it into the Euros. So while, I do think they probably will qualify, and I think that this group will be predictable. I don't think, as Jack said, there's any chance of France slipping up. The Swiss are not the most convincing of teams in this stage. So
No.
I find it weird, actually, that they've not made it out of a group stage in this competition when you consider they finished second in their World Cup group 2 years ago, and France were in that group. France beating them 5-2.
They had a great game against France. It was 5-2. I think it wasn't the game where sort of France went 5-0 up in that game. And then Switzerland just fought back to get 2 goals, but it was obviously never going to be enough. And like you mentioned, Xhaka, who's obviously one of their key players, and I think there'll be all eyes on him in the same way that Arsenal fans look at their players like that when they come from European teams. Shaqiri, I mean, and Mbolo's there as well. I don't know if Mbolo's likely to start. He's not got a great record.
They've got Mehmedi, who will probably play ahead of them on the left. I can't see him playing down the middle.
And Mbolo's got, I think he's played 9 times in Mbolo for maybe 7 times for the Swiss team, and he's only scored 1 goal against San Marino. So I mean, it's not a great record for Mbolo. A lot spoken about him, of course. Yeah. Ricardo Rodriguez, left back, very well.
He's rumoured to be going to Arsenal as well, isn't he?
I think he has been for a few years, actually, now you mention it. In midfield, Gelson Fernandez and Barami, 2 of the most experienced players. I think they'll be a key. If they both play, of course, there's quite a lot of competition within that 3 that they'll probably play in midfield. They've played 3 in midfield for a long time. I think they might do the same thing. But again, like we talked about players that have missed out for the French team, no Gökhan Inler, who's almost been a victim of Leicester's success. Tim Close got relegated with Norwich, and the big miss for me, Jack, is I think he's probably one of your favourite players. Is Philippe Senderos doesn't get on the plane.
I think it's come past him now, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. I think Giroud's taken his place at the back for Switzerland. How do you think their chances stand then, Keeno? Do we think it'll be comfortable? Do you think they could arguably finish top, take advantage of a little bit of French nerves? Maybe
I think the only way that the Swiss will finish top is if, as Jack sort of half predicted, half sort of speculated, that the French slip up in a game that they should win. Because I think, I know I said that the Swiss weren't too convincing in qualifying, which they weren't. I think they'll get through this group okay. and then maybe fall at the hurdle after that. But in terms of topping the group, I think, they'll have to rely on France slipping up in another game because I'm not sure that they will beat France themselves.
No. Okay, I think, I said earlier that Pogba got sent off.
Yeah, he didn't, did he?
I don't think he did. No,
I was questioning it. I didn't want to call you out.
Made it up. No, I don't think he performed well, though. I think there was a bit of talk about Pogba not performing too well in the competition of the World Cup last time round. So then, from the 4 teams, how are we expecting it to go down? Obviously, there's a chance a third place will qualify. It's very up in the air at the moment, though. It's so odd. It's such a strange dynamic.
I can predict this group with points.
With points?
Yeah. I'm going to stick my head out on the line.
Keeno, allow this. We'll sit back.
Okay.
Right, France, 9 points, not going to lose a game.
Okay.
You just said they might slip up to Albania.
No. Switzerland, 4 points. They'll win against Romania, draw against Albania, and lose
Lost
to France.
Of course, yeah.
Then we'll have Albania draw 2 games. They'll draw against Romania and, of course, against Switzerland. And Romania will finish bottom of the group on 1 point with their solitary goalless draw against Albania.
So we don't think that Albania will go through because 2 points probably won't get you through.
Will. I think this is one of the groups where the third place team might not go through.
And I think that is because, as we mentioned in this show, the 2 teams who are the underdogs are not the most adventurous of teams. And when, obviously, with the best performing third rule, which kind of does throw a bit of a spanner into the works a little bit, obviously very difficult to predict, that kind of team will go to sort of a more plucky outsider, I think, that might sort of upset a big team. And I don't think that will happen in this group.
Can I issue a disclaimer now? When France finished bottom of the group on 0 points, it was basically like Leicester. No one saw it coming in. I'm sorry.
We'll bring this audio off at the time, I'm sure. Now then, that pretty much brings us to the end of our Group A look. We will be looking at, of course, all the other groups. They'll be on YouTube and iTunes, so do check them out. We're, of course, on Twitter @ForTheFans. And by the way, boys, did you see that Ladbrokes have stolen #ForTheFans?
Wasn't happy about that.
Have they?
I mean, I thought they were promoting the podcast to begin with. I think Ben struck a good deal here.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'm just saying that if they continue to use the hashtag, it's absolutely fine because if you click the hashtag, our profile comes up on Twitter.
Yeah,
so carry on.
Fine.
By all means, Ladbrokes, carry on.
I got a little bit annoyed then, but yeah, as you say, that's fine.
I want to also clarify, we're not in association with Ladbrokes, but if they would like to sponsor the podcast, then we are willing to listen to offers. That's all I'll say on that. Right then, Euros.
Please
Group
gamble
A.
responsibly.
Please gamble responsibly. Jack, can you do some Ray Winston for us?
No, I cannot.
Okay, never mind. Let's end it there then. From Jack, Keeno and myself, that was your Group A review. Stay tuned for more and we'll see you again later in the week. We love with care from you to mention. Until next time, goodbye.
Sculpture of a gold Benji. It's perfection. Keeno, I think you're going to have to be calling for an oxygen mask over here, my friend.